Is it rolling?
It is rolling. Isn't this paradise?
I tell you, it's pretty nice. It's perfect temperature, especially when you throw that ice water on your body. I'm still cold.
I feel so relaxed.
No, I met this guy in backpacking. We were backpacking in Alaska. He was on a day hike, an English guy, and then we ran out of whiskey, and we had to hitchhike back to the store in Yellowstone to buy more whiskey. And then he was in the line of the store, and we opened up the whiskey. He said, "Take a drink." He took a drink. He said, "Oh, that's quite nice." I said, "Take another drink." And it's like we got him drunk, so we took him back to his campground. We said, "You're going backpacking with us," and we taught him how to fish, how to illegal camp, and just. He stayed all summer with us because we were living in cabins there, working at the restaurant in Old Faithful Inn, and I kept tabs with him. And he went down to Antarctica before me, working for the English expedition. But one year, the fish was a really good price in Kodiak, and I called him up. I said, "Come on, come over here and see if you can get a fishing job," because a lot of people from foreign countries would work on the fishing boats.
You went several times to Alaska back and forth to fish?
Yeah.
Commercially?
I went almost 10 years, just mainly in the summertime. I only spent one winter there.
Did you do work in wintertime?
Yeah, I worked on the crab boat.
But in summertime it's salmon.
Yeah, salmon. The springtime it's herring. And then at the early season and late season it's halibut.
What year was that? Is between
started in 1985.
From 85 to 95 more or less?
Yeah, 85 to 93.
How long is a boat out in the open?
Usually 2 or 3 weeks. But if you're staying out and they don't close it because they count all the fish going up the main rivers, and if there's not enough fish getting up, they'll close the season. And they always close it for the 4th of July. But if the fishing's good and they don't close it much, even for 4th of July, you might stay out and just be ready to fish and not spend the money to get back to town.
And what you get is part of the catch. Yeah, so every trip you're making different money.
You usually get 10% minus 25% of the food that you use and 10% of the fuel and lubricant oils.
So on average, 3 weeks work, what does it net you?
It's called fishing, not catching. Sometimes you go into debt and you owe the boat money. You never know. But I talked my friend that I met backpacking in Yellowstone to come up, and he got on a South African's boat. And it was a wood boat, an older boat, and the guy really didn't know what he was doing that much. But we both made money, and our plan was to fly back and meet in London, and then fly to India, spend 3 months in India, then go to Nepal for 2 months, and then go to Thailand, and then go on down, because we wanted to see the World's Cup in Perth, Australia, the America's Cup, the big yacht race.
You said there is a flight from Kodiak to London?
Yep.
Going over the pole.
Yep. My first season, I bought a standby ticket with British Airways, and we flew over the North Pole and down to London in one shot. That was an interesting flight.
You see much when you fly over the pole?
Just ice and snow. It was probably maybe October, and so the ice was already formed up.
What year you went to Indonesia first time?
2008.
2008, so late.
Yeah.
What happening the first time, 2008 in Indonesia?
Well, I met a girl online down in Antarctica when I was working, and she was from Medan, Indonesia. She said, "Well, let's meet in Bangkok and go for a holiday in Thailand." And so we met there. And here's something weird. She got sun poisoning in Bangkok.
Strange.
And it was crazy because I didn't even know her last name. And I was I tried to explain at the meeting point. Every airport's got a meeting point for people to meet. And so just ask. And she wasn't there. And so I said, "Tina Medan, could you page Tina Medan?" And she came up there. And so we met at the airport. And we traveled all around Thailand. And she said, "If you want to marry me, you stay in Thailand for 1 more month to make sure you want to marry, and then come down to Indonesia, we'll get married."
And you did?
I did that, yep.
So how long you knew her?
Like a couple months.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you just think, you think these Asian girls are going to be subservient And, I understand that they got a pretty easy life now and they don't have to work. And they'd be pretty happy. And you just fix up the house and make it nice for them, and things would be pretty good. But
So it's still 2008. You meet a girl. You've been with her for 2-3 months. You married
yeah,
her.
and then we traveled around Thailand for a month. And I don't even think she wanted to get married, really. And I shouldn't have even married her. Just say, okay, see you later.
When you say you marry a Indonesian girl, most people think Muslim, but that was not true.
She was Christian.
She was from a different ethnic than the.
No, she's a Batak tribe from around Lake Toba.
All right.
In North Sumatra. They call it Sumatra Utara. Utara means north. I had no record of me being a Christian, a member of the Christian church in America, because I went before computer records. And so I kind of contacted a couple of the churches I'd gone to as a high school student. They had no records. And so I had to memorize the Apostles' Creed and go up between the congregation of the church that she went to and wear all white clothing and go up and say this spiel in the Bible. It's probably like 30 words. And then I was a member of that church and we could get married. And I had to get adopted by her aunt to be in the Batak tribe. In order to marry into the Batak tribe, you had to be in the Batak tribe.
You had to be in the tribe and you had to be Christian.
Yep. Because they won't let mixed religions marry in Indonesia. And you have to choose a religion between like Taoism, Buddhism, Christianity, Muslim, and you have to choose one of them. They don't like you being without religion at all there. And you both have to be the same religion.
And you got her pregnant.
Yeah, we got married and I got her pregnant. We went to Bali for a 3-month honeymoon. And it got to be like work. You had to have sex every day, whether you wanted it or not. But I was all into it. But it got to be almost a chore at one point.
So your first son was born 2008, 2009?
Yeah. First time married at like 50 years old.
And you got another child?
Yeah. I came back from Antarctica once and she said, you don't have to use a condom because it's hard for me to get pregnant now because I'm older. I was like, if you get pregnant now, I'll be working in Antarctica. And it's like, they'll fly me up here, but I'll lose money from working. And so you're on your own. And man, she didn't get pregnant in like a week from the DSBs. You know what the DSBs are?
What's that?
Deadly sperm buildup. Antarctica for 6 months.
How often you been in Antarctica?
7 seasons, 7 astral summers, they call it.
If you go there, you have to be there for 5 months?
It's different lengths of contracts.
What did you do there?
I've desalinated water for the American base at McMurdo. Established like 1957, I think, by the U.S. Navy.
Is that interesting to stay there for several months or rather boring?
It's really interesting because it's a bunch of misfits that a lot of them can't get jobs anywhere else. And the most interesting for me was we had a big round table and we just have friends go sit around this table and everybody turned their their cafeteria tray long ways so more people could sit around lunches and especially long dinners. The dishwashers would be chasing us out at the end of the night because we just sit there and just...
Well, there is no night at that time.
Right. Now, you're down there for the astral summer and it's just like from about October to mid-February, the sun never goes down at all. It just goes around a circle low in the horizon.
Must be weird, huh?
Oh, it's crazy. And I would work nights because your roommate worked the days and you'd have your room to yourself the whole time, but you had to learn to sleep at night. But there's not much difference between night and a day, except that about 100 people work at night and about 1,000 people work during the day.
Does the circling sun does something to your psyche, to your body?
Oh, it's not healthy. They don't want you to be down there for more than a year because it's just not healthy to be. It's such a harsh environment. A lot of people get shingles down there because their immunity gets low. Crazy static electricity because Antarctica is the highest, driest, windiest continent on Earth. And you get so much static electricity walking in the hallways. You learn to open your door with the palm of your hand because your fingers are a lot more sensitive. It's like crack.
On a typical day there during the summertime, what's the temperature?
It varies wildly, but you're there at the hottest time of the year. Most of the snow around the complex melts. And we weren't even in Antarctica. We were on this island called Ross Island that was about 45 miles across the ice to Antarctica.
So you can go out?
Yeah, if it's nice. If it's not crazy windy, you can do anything you want. If it's condition 2, we can start to get windy. No recreational travel. You can only go to and from work. You can't go hiking or anything. And then if it gets condition 1, nobody can leave their workstation because it's just a blizzard. and it'll be, well, it's never dark, but I mean, it gets dark. It gets completely black. You can't see the big street lights. You can't see the sun because there's so much snow in the air that it just absorbs all the light. You can't see anything. They actually string ropes between the buildings.
Yeah, I've seen that on TV.
Yeah.
So people don't get lost.
And you're supposed to do the happy camper exercise when you get there. It's like they take you out, you learn to make snow caves, igloos, and you got to spend a night out on the ice and figure out how to make your shelter. And one of the exercises they do, they put a white 5-gallon bucket on your head, and you got to like walk around, and you see how disoriented condition 1 can be.
Nice place, huh?
It's different. Some people get frostbite doing that happy camper, but I never had to go because I had such an important job making the water that it couldn't spare me time off to even go there.
These water makers, how much gallons do they do in what time?
We had 3 reverse osmosis machines, and they would do 64 gallons a minute, I think.
Whoa, that's big.
Yeah, and we had 3 of them.
And how are they fired? Diesel engines?
Well, we've got 12-cylinder big cat diesel generators that are detuned to run on like aviation gas, because that's pretty much the main fuel down there. Every year you get like an icebreaker that comes, then you get a tanker that comes, and then you get a container ship. And then in the summertime when I was there, you get like planes coming in from New Zealand every day. It's like, if it's a C-130, a 4-engine turboprop, it takes about 7 hours to fly in, or 8 hours, depending on the winds. If it's a C-17, it gets there in about 6 hours. And it's a big military jet made by Boeing. They call it the Globemaster. And it's great to go down in it because you can get there, because they give you a warning halfway there as whether to proceed or turn back. But the Globemaster can always go unless it's just really horrible. And it can fly around for an hour. If it doesn't see the runway, it can go back. You've got like a 13-hour flight under your belt, and you ended up back in New Zealand where you came from. They call that the boomerang. One time I had to fly in a C-130, and it's just like noisy. It's got a barrel to pee in. And it was really hot in that plane. It didn't have good temperature control. And it's like, man, you're just sweating. And it actually had, it was a ski plane, but it had hydraulic wheels that would come out between the skis so you could land on a tarmac in New Zealand.
Both types of airplanes is U.S. military aircraft, not New Zealand.
New Zealand would fly Airbuses in because they didn't have any heavy-duty military aircraft like America's got. And one time, the New Zealand military was flying a plane in with my boss on it, and it got halfway to McMurdo, and McMurdo told them to fly back because it was really getting bad weather there and bad visibility. And the Kiwi said, "No, we can make it, we can make it." And they kept flying. And when they got to the McMurdo, they couldn't see the runway lights. And the pilot told them to get in the crash position 3 times. What you do is you just belly land on the snow and some, where they never plow and never do anything. And on the Boeing, you got your wings under. And it's like you're going to catch a wing and just cartwheel and die. And those guys were all freaked out on that flight. And it makes you think, God, is it really worth working down here? You didn't get paid all that good of money. And every year the food was a little less fancy. When I first went there, the food was just phenomenal. And the head chef for all Antarctica quit because they cut the food budget in half. But they always prided themselves on really good food at the beginning. You get to eat 4 times a day if you can get up 4 times. I would always, even my first year, I worked in the daytime, but I'd always get up automatically at 11:30 to go for the midnight meal called mid-rats, and it was really good.
Let's go back a little bit to Indonesia.
Yeah.
You're freshly married.
Yep.
Your wife is pregnant with the first son.
Yep.
Then you're living there?
Yeah. Oh, the first year we lived with their mother because that's tradition. When you first get married, have the first pregnancy, you live with your mother. And so we lived in her little bedroom at her mother's house.
Wasn't it a little bit cramped?
Not really. Not too bad. It's different, but it's just like I was in for the different lifestyle, man, the expat, just to leave America and not go back. And it was exciting. It was fun. It was primitive. I mean, they'd have power outages. You'd have to start the kerosene lamps, and you never knew when the power was coming on.
Where was it? A little bit outside Medan?
No, it was right in the city, right pretty close to downtown.
Now, Medan is Muslim dominated.
Yeah, well, probably, but it's the stronghold of the Batak tribe, and a lot of them, probably more of them are Christian than Muslim.
Did you make friends among the Batak?
Oh yeah, you had your family friends, and it's like you learned a little bit of the language, and you got some friends in the Bataks. But they really don't speak much English there when I was there, and I bet they still don't speak much English.
So what were you doing? You know, on a typical evening, you were sitting at home or you were going out?
Yeah, you'd go out to eat. Yeah, we were always going out there because there's little restaurants everywhere, and it's crazy cheap. I mean, you probably ate for like $2, two people. Drink sweet tea, ate fried rice. The national dish is called nasi goreng. Goreng means fried, nasi means rice. And they save all the old chicken frying oil, and then they fry rice in it, and that's the fried rice, the nasi goreng. It really tastes pretty good.
So you say these people your surrounding didn't speak much English, but do they speak Bahasa or another language?
Well, they all speak Bahasa because that's the national language, but the older people would speak Batak language, and I think my wife probably had a working knowledge of like 30 Batak words. She didn't really know that much.
So what did you learn over time?
I learned Bahasa and just very little of I learned Bahasa. Yeah, you learn very little of the Batak because she didn't even know it. And it was crazy because our whole wedding was in Batak language and neither one of us knew what they were talking about. But I think being Christian is fashioned.
Oh, Bahasa is not that difficult to learn.
No, you got a big advantage over Thailand because it's actually the Arabic alphabet.
So first roundabout, how long did you stay?
I stayed pretty much March to February in Thailand, and I stayed like April in Thailand. And I went to Laos and Cambodia, and then I came back, began to get married, and then we lived with her mother, and then I had to go back and work in Antarctica. I met her my first season working in Antarctica, and I worked 6 seasons in Antarctica after that. It's crazy. Because you're at the warmest time in Antarctica, which is all right, but actually you land at the coldest time, which is August, and then you fly back February. You spend the whole summer in Indonesia, the hottest time there, and I did that for 6 years after that. It's like, God.
How is it to leave a Batak wife for months at a time?
She always made it pretty easy because she'd be fighting like crazy after a couple of years. By the time it was time for you ready to go for the contract, you couldn't wait to get out.
What I meant is, do Batak wives cheat on you while you're away?
Oh, I don't think so. Because she was living, yeah, well, you never know. I don't think she did. But, it's like if she wanted to do that, it's like you would never bring a man back to your house because the neighbors would just see it. And you were never supposed to have a man at your house when your husband wasn't there. So, she could. She could have gone out and met guys at the mall and then gone to the hotel. Who knows? But I never worried about it.
So back and forth. After 6 stints in Antarctica, now it's what, 2014 or what?
Yeah, and then I worked 2 seasons in the Marshall Islands for the U.S. Army, and our mission was to test Minuteman II missiles, the guidance and propulsion, and just the viability and the reliability of the nuclear missiles America has. And their nuclear triad. Our defense platform is the nuclear triad, which includes bombers that can deliver nukes, submarines which can deliver nukes, and rockets which can deliver nukes.
The famous ICBMs.
Yep. Which
one joker wrote on the silo, delivery in 20 minutes or less, or your next one is free.
Thank God we've never resorted to a nuclear war. But you see what Trump just said? He said if he gets assassinated by Iran, he's already got instructions to annihilate Iran if he gets assassinated by an Iranian.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you get to and from Marshall Islands? I guess I couldn't go and have a holiday there.
You couldn't at the island I work at. It's like when you get there, before you get there, he said, you can't take any pictures. You can't leave the airplane. When you're flying over it, you got to keep your windows closed, your blinds closed. And then when you land, you can actually open up your windows, but you can't take any pictures.
Only military personnel.
They're the only ones that can exit the plane. And it's a puddle jumper because it goes from Guam to like Truk to like about 5 different stops in Micronesia before it gets to Kwajalein Atoll, where the army base is. And then from there, it flies to Majuro, which is the capital of the Marshall Islands. And then it flies to Hawaii. And it's a pretty expensive flight because there's no competition. United's the only carrier that flies there.
But you don't have to pay it if you're there on contract.
Right, they buy the ticket, and it's all right, but it's a long day. After I worked there a year, they gave me a 6-week paid vacation, and they paid for my flight back to the Marshall or back to Indonesia. And I came to Thailand. I went home for a week, then flew the family to Thailand and to Bangkok, shopped a little bit. Then we went down to Prachuap Khiri Khan and rented a hotel for like 20 days, and then we took the train back to Bangkok, and then we shopped for a week and stayed in Bangkok for a week, and then bought a new suitcase, filled it up, and then went back to Indonesia.
When is the first year you've been in Thailand?
1987, when I was working fishing boats up in Kodiak.
How was Thailand then?
Oh, Thailand was great. It's like really primitive and really different because it was the first country that we went to that wasn't an English colony, because we went to England, or we went to from England, we went to India, and a lot of people spoke English. And we went to Nepal, and a lot of people spoke English. And then we get to Thailand, and all of a sudden, they don't speak English, and you can't just piss anywhere you want. It's sort of a civilized country. And it was the first country that the women were giving you the hungry eyes. The other girls they never even looked at you, didn't seem.
Well, in 78, you've been a bit younger.
Yeah.
And times were different. What would you say the biggest points changed in Thailand?
Back then, it was a real adventure because it was really, everybody was crazy poor. Wasn't much English. Nobody had really disposable income. And it was just sort of, it was a hard life for most of the people. But I mean, we were in Bangkok, but it was a big adventure because, Bangkok's a huge city. It hardly sleeps. It's always something going on there. It's just so different from everywhere in Thailand, and you just have to revert back to the song "When Not in Bangkok." It's just like, oh God, it's a lot like that. Crazy stuff there. Went to the Red Cross Snake Farm, watched the milk king cobras, and just riding on the riverboats, going to the malls, eating big buffet dinners, going to Pat Pong, seeing the craziness in the sex shows, it was really just totally amazing compared to going in Europe. And then every day you wake up after you decide to get out of Bangkok. Every day you wake up, you just look at a map and decide what you want to do, where you want to go. Traveling used to be really fun, and everybody went by the Lonely Planet, and everybody talked at the guest house. It was really social. And now everybody just looks at their phone and doesn't really communicate that much with each other. Nobody had phones back then. And it's just like you would have knew the new attraction in town, and there wasn't very many travelers back then. And it's just like, you were so different, and that you had a Walkman, and they didn't even know what it was hardly. And it's just like, you were rich compared to them.
Today it's the opposite. A lot of people here have more than we have.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a big disparity of wealth here. You see a lot of Porsches and BMWs riding around, and then a lot of people looking into trash cans for plastic to recycle.
That has always been the disparity between rich and poor.
Yeah, that's a hallmark of a developing country, is people rooting through the trash can regularly.
Only that now you see such a display of wealth with Thai people, because they also like to show off.
Yeah.
You were here, you told me the house in this condo, you have a year contract. Any plans going back to Indonesia?
Not directly till things change, because my wife, I think she'd just get angry if I went back there and just didn't give her a bunch of money. But she gets $700 a month, and she has a new car, a nice house, and that's plenty of money to raise a family in Indonesia and pay for private schools.
And it's $700 includes the school money for your 2 kids.
Yep, because they probably, it might be $400 a month. It could be getting close to $500 a month. But Indonesia's so cheap. If you cook your meals at home and don't spend a lot, that's plenty of money for a family. That's a middle class family with both husband and wife working. That's about what they make.
Any future plans for you?
Just wait till my kids get 18, see what they want to do, where they want to get educated, if they want to sell Toyotas in Indonesia, or if they've got different aspirations. But you know, they've got dual citizenship now cards. They got American passports that are expired. They've got social security numbers. When they're 18, they have to declare what they want to be. And 4 to 6 more years, they might be better off being Indonesian citizens and American citizens. And you know what? After spending their whole life in Indonesia, they wouldn't even want to go to America. And it's like, I wouldn't want to go back and live in America and try to show them how things work there. So yeah, they'll probably stay in Indonesia.
You have any plans to go back to work?
Nope, I've got plenty of money if the stock market doesn't go nuts. And I've got plenty of money if the kids want to be pilots or doctors too. They just have to decide what they want to be. And it's up to them. They know how to contact me, but my wife, she's got them scared not to contact me. They're still boys. One will turn 14 on April 15th, and the other one end of February. He just turned 12. Oh, I miss him a lot.
You had the boys over here in Thailand.
Yeah, twice. And in Vietnam once. No, they traveled. And you know what? Okay, when you're in Indonesia, she's the boss, and you're on her schedule, and she controls everything. And then when you travel, you know, they're all listening to me. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And that's the only way, you know, I could sort of be the boss, is bring them overseas. And then we did what we wanted. But when you're in Indonesia, she's the boss. And it's like, she wants to go to a restaurant without you and just take the boys, she'd do that. And so when you come here, you go like a family.
Now, the Batak culture, is that a matriarchal society in parts?
Yeah. It's the women have a lot of power in that. And they're pretty much the boss of the family in some respects.
That might be the root of some of the problems you have.
Yeah, I think so. She just seemed to want to grow her bank account, argue about, no, can't buy a washing machine, you have to buy a refrigerator, and just like, it seems like some of these girls just want to get as much as they can out of you and abuse you and just like think you're never going to leave. And then it's like when you leave, they're a little bit shocked because now they have to use the money that they've accumulated in their bank account to do family things. And it's like where her bank account was constantly going up, now her bank account's going down if she spends extra money on clothes or whatever. She has to take care of the house. And so, yeah, this is one thing they've got to learn. It seems like the women in Asia, they don't get a mind above like a 14-year-old. They don't really understand what life's about because they live with their parents most of their lives, and they never know. They don't have a clue till they get married and move out, and then it's just like all of a sudden, it's not like they go and rent a house and go to college. It's just like all of a sudden they're just like, okay, the rent's paid, the electric's paid. I can go to the mall and hang out and eat and wait for the kids to get off school, and I'm just gone every day. I'll imagine she's somewhat happy that I'm gone.